We're going to teach you how to play Thief today.
Woo! One team plays as the cops, one team plays as the robbers, the thieves. There's a bunch of treasure in the middle of the board. The thieves are trying to steal the treasure. The cops are trying to get the treasures back before the game ends.
Here's how you set up the game. Take the lovely game board, lay it out in the middle of the area, and you'll notice there's some little gaps in this track. That's what these 6 road pieces are for. Shuffle those up and just place them randomly in whatever direction you like. Next step, you're going to take the 8 treasure cards. These are the square ones with lots of different treasures on them. Place them in the middle of the board on their respective places, and they need to be placed with their blue side up. They've got a red side and a blue side. Put them blue side up to start the game. Next up, take the 2 little movers. They both go onto the starting space of the track. Next, you pick who's going to be cops and who's going to be robbers. So you can play with 2 players, 1 cop, 1 robber, and then with more players you split into teams as evenly as possible. So today, Megan's going to be the cops, I'll be the robbers. Deal out 6 cop cards to each cop player, so Megan's just going to get 6 cards. And then the robbers, they start with 5 cards each. In Thief, players will take turns using the cards in their hand, playing them onto the discard pile to do one of 3 things. First thing you can do with the cards is you can play them to steal treasures from the middle if you're a robber, or if you're a cop player, you can use them to return the treasures to the rightful owners of the cops. The second thing you can do with these cards is to pay for some special action cards, which we'll go over later. Those will help you get ahead in the game or mess around your opponent. Make it easier.
Do an old-fashioned mess around.
And the last thing you could do with your cards is to use them to move either the getaway car for the robbers or the patrol car for the cops. Use them to move them around the board. The game ends when either car reaches the final space, but it's not whoever gets to the end that wins. It's whoever has the most value of treasure at the end of the game. So let's do an example turn. You always start the game with a robber player. They get to go first. I am going to spend multiple cards at a time to steal a treasure from the middle. And so, for example, let's say I want to steal this antique pocket watch. It says it costs 7 to steal. So to do that, I'm going to have to discard cards from my hand with a value of 7 or higher total. So to do that, I'm going to discard 3, 5, 6, 7 worth of cards all at the same time. I take them and just place them on the discard pile and say, well, I've discarded 7 worth of cards. I'm going to steal this. So to steal, you pick up the card, flip it over to the red side. Treasures that are on the red side means they are currently owned by the robbers and they contribute towards the robbers' score. I've got 1 card left in my hand, it's still my turn, so I'm going to spend this card and I'm going to use that to move my car forward. What every player does at the end of their turn is they just draw cards from their pile up to their hand limit. So a robber will draw up to 5 cards, a cop will draw to make sure they have 6 cards.
So I actually don't have enough to buy this treasure back.
It costs a little bit extra for a cop to return a treasure than it does for a robber to steal a treasure.
But I still am in the lead because most of them are blue anyway, so I'm just going to use 1 supply card that's equal to 3 to move, and then I can move forward 1 more. Boom.
One thing you can also do at the end of your turn before you draw, if you have cards left over that you can't use, you can choose to discard 1 before you draw up to your top card if you've got a couple of cards in your hand you can't really think about using right now. So as you can see, there's a few special spaces on the track, and landing on these spaces can give you a little boost. The 2 special spaces are, there is a car space that gets you 1 free movement instantly, and the other one is a player card space. If the robber lands directly on there, they instantly get to draw 1 extra card. I'm going to play a 1-cost card to move my car forward 1 space.
Wait, so if I land on that, I can also move forward 1?
Sadly, no, Megan. These are tricksy little robber spaces, and they only benefit the robbers when they land. And they're the key to winning as the robbers, so be careful about that.
Time out, pro thief tip real quick. Players can take as many actions as they want during their turn, as long as they have the cards for it. So when you're the thief, it's best to land on all these special spaces, and what you can do is play 1 card at a time. For instance, I got 3 here. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, land on this getaway card, move forward 1. Then, you know what, I'm going to buy this treasure in the middle for 5. I'm going to go ahead and flip that over. I got this 1 extra here. I'm going to play it on this card, pick up another, and hey, I got another 3. Let's keep going forward. That is how you want to play the thief.
So, play continues back and forth with the robbers stealing the treasure, moving their car forward, or playing action cards, and the cops returning the treasure, moving their car forward, and playing action cards.
I could move to the very end. I've got a card. I've got enough cards where I can move and cross the finish line.
Across the finish line, which would end the game.
However, I'm noticing that Eddie has a couple more points than I do, so I don't actually want the game to end right now.
So if the game ended right now, even if Megan ended the game by reaching the end, I would win because I have the most treasure.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pay 8
worth of
supplies, and I'm going to return this back to the
No, it means I lose 4 points. She gains 4 points. That really changes the standing. The cops are currently in the lead.
I've got some leftover cards, so I'm going to go ahead and cross the finish line.
Oh, crime doesn't pay, people. So she reached the end of the board, and as soon as she does, the game ends and we count up the points worth of treasure. I have 16 points worth of treasure, but Megan, she's got 20 points worth of treasure. A couple things to go over. First off, if you run out of cards in your draw pile and you need to draw, well, it's as easy as you take your discard pile, shuffle it, and place it back face up and look through your cards once again. And the other thing to keep an eye on is if we have more than 2 players.
So what if you got an odd number of players?
So, in Thief, you're always playing as 2 teams, the cops and the robbers. But if there's an odd number of players, you split up the teams as evenly as possible. The extra player will always be on the robber team. So, today we're going to have 2 robbers, me and Patrick, and 1 cop, Megan. We deal out the cards as normal. The way the turns work in Thief is it always goes robber, cop, robber, cop, robber, cop. So in this setup, Megan would end up having a few more turns than each of us individually because I'll always alternate. Me, Megan, Patrick, Megan. Me, Megan, Patrick, Megan, to have an even number of cop and robber turns.
Well, there you have it, folks. I just taught you how to play Thief.
No, you weren't even here half the time.
I did it.
And that's how you play Thief, ladies and gentlemen. You've learnt the rules, and
From us.
Good luck stealing those treasures, or
Or returning them to their rightful place.